What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Master Crafted. Today, we've got our good buddy Cody coming back on. We're going to be talking a little bit about how to play the game in the sense of trading. How are you going to force your opponent to come out and kill you in a way that benefits you and you're not just throwing things away? And we're really going to try to dive into the multiple different aspects of trading. Cody, thanks again for coming on, my guy. And what do you know about trading? I mean, you played Drukari. I mean, you don't have any super easy to kill units, right? You're super tough. You're super durable. You just walk out there. People, they trade down all the time into you.
Yeah, that's right. Like Drukari are known for their durability. They're known for living throughout the entire game. You are correct, Lane. I usually hide behind those T12 tanks that I have, those 2-up armor saves that are everywhere. I don't know an army like that, do I?
Yeah, not at all. Who would do such a thing?
That's right.
Yeah, Phil, how you doing today, buddy?
Good, man. I'm excited because when we were talking about this topic, I was like, man, there's a lot of great players that we could bring on, but Cody, his Drukari, as well as Nick, his Drukari, when we talk about trading, we're talking about some of the best in the game because they have to be. Their army has molded them into these fantastic players that have to play the game in a certain way and be really, really efficient with how they do it, because it's not trading based off just points, like in terms of how much your army's worth or how much the unit's worth. It's not just trading off of VP. It's not just trading off any of those things. You are making plans for all 5 rounds, and you have to be able to stick to those plans and execute on them. So yeah, it's really, really interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a great introduction into the principles we're going to be talking about. I am going to be sharing my screen, which I'll get that pulled up right now. And we're going to just kind of talk through some examples. I'll try to keep up with these guys as they kind of talk through some scenarios and what they're looking to do. And, hopefully get that on the screen for you to, really be able to see what it is that they're talking about here. Okay, that should be visible for everybody. All right, so Cody, you are the guest. What is one of the big things for you as a Drukari player? Like, what is your go-to trade generally to start the game? I feel like we almost always have each a unit in our armies that we're like, this is kind of what I'm going to get the game started off with. Whether it's for area denial or some secondary, it's going out there. And I'm going to try to pull some extra value with this trade.
Yeah, so for Drukari, it's easy. It's the Beast Pack, right? It's 120 points. It's 21 wounds at T4. Everything has an invuln. Everything has different wounds on it too, so it makes it a nightmare. It's good in melee. It kills chaff. It scouts 9. It moves 12. It's beasts, right? And so that's the number one trading piece, at least for Drukari and for me. I run 3 of them. They are freaking fantastic, right? They are a staple. And really what I'm looking for are pockets. So first, for me with scouting, I need an infiltrate pocket. So I'll always infiltrate a unit. So if we're in here, I'm probably going to either infiltrate up on my expansion objective in the top left, in that L right there with mandrakes. Actually, the other thing I kind of like to do is actually kind of do it right here on the outside of the bottom L as well, along this wall to prevent being shot or to force my opponent to go inside the terrain so I can see them. What this does is allows me to scout up either into the pocket at the top or scout down into the pocket down below. And with the Beast Pack, what it does is it's fast. It creates a lot of pressure. And points-wise, 120 points for, I don't want to say a chaff unit, but for a unit that I know is going to die turn 1, and then running 3 of those and having 360 points die pretty much turn 1, people can say, man, that's a lot of points. But I think it was Phil that said, it's not about point for point, right? I will trade 120 points of Beast Packs for 70 points of Scouts any day to assert board control, to ensure that my opponent has to come out and bring more forces to kill it than are needed, and that kind of thing. So when I'm looking to trade, it's not based on points, it's about opportunity. And for me, I get more value out of them revealing 300 points to kill 120, which then I return fire and kill those 300 points. So the initial trade might be a negative 50 points for Scouts, but it's a positive almost 300 when it comes to it.
Yeah, I think that's a amazing point. Beast Packs especially, with just the variable wounds, literally nothing is efficient into that unit. it's insane.
Yeah, they are insane. And I think people like I tell them, hey, how fast are they? They're pretty fast. It's like, yeah, they scout 9, they move 12. And they hear that, they don't realize that you're 24 inches away and 9 plus 12 is 21. And so when you full move them forward and you go, oh, I got a 4-inch charge, and people go, oh shit, like they're fast. And I was like, well, yeah, that's what 9 plus 12 is. Um, they don't comprehend, they don't see that a lot of the times. The other thing that is in my favor too is 6 of the 7 models are on 40 mil bases, and so spreading those out, being able jailing is a concept, and I imagine we can do a different video on that. But spreading out, being able to take up a lot of board space with them, being able to hold, my expansion in the middle, or just to deny space in general with them is huge when it comes to that. And forces, nobody wants those guys hitting their lines, hitting their chaff, hitting their soft units. The strats I have at my disposal, giving them lethal or sustained, really help that unit punch up into things.
Yeah. So in that scenario, of just trying to force your opponent to have to deal with these 120-point units, like you're saying, you might just be running all the way up. Oh, we're gonna switch that out real quick for the pencil. Might just be running all the way up here, trying to get to a similar point where you were talking about, having some of your infiltrators, maybe trying to get all the way up to behind this wall, even as just a very annoying place to be, that if they don't deal with it turn 1, it will jail them turn 2. And you'll be able to just kind of push that line. Is that a fair analysis of things you're trying to do?
Yeah, and then forcing them, if I wanted to hide at a certain angle and go, you can only shoot me from this side. If I did put them up towards the top more and forcing them to come out of their deployment zone on that little 4-inch mark up at the top,
Gotcha.
to be able to get an angle at me. I have stuff now that will draw an angle at them the next turn once they reveal themselves. So it's playing those games. And really, I mean, my style is I like to push the pace, and I like to force my opponent to play the game and to make decisions that I want them to play. It's like a main reason why I play, like if we played Magic, I'd probably play blue.
No, don't be a blue player, Cody, please.
I don't know. There's some black in there
God.
too, if that matters.
Blue, black. It's a little better, right? It's not much more fun, but it's a little fun. Oh God, that is fair. That is fair. Yeah, I think that is a great example. Phil, anything to add on that?
Yeah, so I want to expand on something that Cody said, and it's something that I think a lot of players, it doesn't just mean Drakari do it. Everyone needs to be able to do it, and it's called controlling the tempo of the game. And we can do so. One of the aspects and why trading is so important is we can control the tempo of the game with how we trade. So, for example, Cody's Beast Packs, right? Advance and charging, getting into our opponent's line and denying them turn 1. Well, if I jail our opponent, we're sending these things out, and I jail our opponent turn 1, usually means that we're doing so in such a way that I'm preventing you from getting to your natural. I'm preventing you from getting to the middle to do secondaries like establish and area deny. So you're already on the back foot in terms of primary scoring. I've increased the tempo because you have to make a choice as my opponent that you need to increase, like you need to catch up to how quickly I'm playing the game, because I'm playing the game very aggressive and looking to deny points, and that is playing right into what I want you to do, because I want you to speed up faster than maybe you're comfortable with, or you have not deployed in a way that will allow you to do so. So if we talk about like Drakari, they can do that uniquely. Not every army can, but I can pressure armies, let's say by putting trading units on every middle objective for something like Linchpin, where I have units on all 3 middle objectives, and I say, okay, you can come out here and trade with me. That's fine, but I'm increasing the tempo of the game, because if you choose not to, or you don't do efficiently, or you don't wipe off everything, I'm getting ahead in points. And now I have board control, which is probably the most important thing. I would almost sacrifice points for board control the majority of the time, especially going second, especially with just controlling the tempo of the game. So, trading and tempo go pretty much hand in hand for me personally, because it's like if you trade well and you can increase the tempo or decrease the tempo by not giving trading assets, by not exposing things, that is decreasing the tempo of the game. And as long as I'm in control of that tempo, I'm happy. The second I give up control of that tempo, it's like I have to find ways to get it back, which might mean doing something like sending a unit that is not efficient looking to punch up into something else, or like a suboptimal move, but it doesn't expose everything. Like Cody was saying, like, I don't expose 300 points to try to kill 120. Like, I have to find another way around it. Maybe I'm spending more command points on stratagems to put myself in a position where like I can control the tempo of the game again.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. If you're going first, it's almost always you need to be forcing your opponent in at least 10th edition. You have to be setting that tempo. You need to get their resources burned through before they get to that turn 5. Make it to where they can't just stand on 3 objectives and do all their secondaries. They don't have enough resources. And when Cody was on originally talking about prepping for a GT, you mentioned you almost never end the game with many units left because you are just trying to push that tempo. You're trying to burn through your opponent's resources, and you're going to still score well. Drukhari, tons of MSU, great mobility. It's very hard to slow you down on your own scoring. But if you can burn through your opponent's resources as well by doing those trades, it's really going to put a real pinch on their economy when it comes to scoring.
Yeah, totally. And one of the things that Phil mentioned too, with like the putting everything on middle objectives, in trading. Let's say we wipe all 3 of his middle objectives off, and he doesn't score points, and I end up scoring some points or something like that. When you're playing the trading game, it's not one turn that you're playing, right? It's once you trade turn 1, what does that turn into turn 2 and turn 3? Because you do have to play that long game. If you're going first, I think your mindset is totally different. You have to push the pace. You got to do something. Because if you play KG for 4 turns, you lose turn 5, and it happens every single time. Knowing that if you go second, knowing your opponent has to do that, you actually can set a pace, which is kind of interesting because you can set up some interesting trades knowing that they have to be the aggressor, baiting people into taking some juicy units. And so I think that's an interesting way to look at it. If Phil's going first and he puts all 3 units out on that objective, he wants me to come out going second to kill all 3 of those units so he can wipe out more points. In that scenario, kind of what I would like to do is I might just kind of consolidate my forces onto one objective, right? Take them off of one, consolidate onto one, and then kind of do, a little blitzkrieg moment if I want to throw in some history stuff, and attack multiple objectives this next turn, knowing that if I did attack, yep, exactly, just like that, knowing that if I did attack all 3, I spread out and I'm weaker that way. And that plays to his strength. But if I consolidate my forces and I'm able to strike in multiple spots, he's probably spread out, ready for me to strike in those multiple spots. So I then can kind of take back the pace or do something that he's not expecting.
Yeah, and it's the nice part about 40K, and it makes it so interesting because every game is unique. Because when you play against someone, every decision is going to cause a chain reaction of different decisions that go into place. It's why I love chess. It's like the board game I originally started with when I was a kid, and every single one of those things causes a different reaction as you go through it. And 40K is definitely similar in the same vein. Now, you said it, Cody, we could bait our opponent. We had a video last week where we talked about trap units, where it was like things like Norn emissaries, or like a fight's first brick, or even like a combi weapon lieutenant, right? That's a trap unit because it's got a feel no pain, it's got a reactionary move, it's got lone op. Like, these are all trap units. But when you say baiting your opponent, what are you looking to bait your opponent with? If you are in that position of like, going second and you want them to, take negative trades specifically.
Sure. So one of the most annoying units in my army to deal with are Scourge, right? They move 14, they shoot, and then they bounce back behind a wall 6 inches. And people will never get a chance to get them unless I want you to. Well, I love baiting with Scourge. I love it, right? Because people see them and they go, oh, I can kill those guys. And I go, oh, yeah, you can. Come get them, baby. Right? And so moving them out, right, getting them to fire, going like, man, I really got to get on this objective. And you do a little table talk. And so you do a 6-inch move, you put them on the objective. And what do people do? Oh, man, I got to come out. I got to kill those guys. And they kill them with the unit that you want them to kill them with. right? And so you bait them with something that you know that they have to kill, but you're willing to lose, right? And I think last time I was on, we were talking about how you're going to lose units when you play this game, right? When you trade, you always lose something, but you gain something, right? And so you got to be willing to lose those units to win the game, right? I don't ever expect Scourge should never live for me, right? I get them into melee. I throw grenades with them, right? They're great. But people see them and then they go, oh, I got to kill these guys. The core unit, right? They do everything. They know what the damage is. They know how much they can do. So if you kind of just leave them out in the open, and I don't know, those losers that play Death Guard, I don't know who does that, but they see them with, Death Shroud Terminators, and they're like, I'm going to flame the crap out of those guys. And when they only kill 5 or 6 of them with those flamers, they go, shit, that didn't work out very well. Like, how come I didn't kill more of those guys? And you can't charge me, right? Because they fight first. And so it's you're going to lose the stuff that you want to bait them out with, right? And so you know that, and you got to be willing to do it. And that's where the trading comes in, right? Like, I know Lane sees those Scourge and goes, dude, I cannot have Haywire shooting at me and my Lehman Russ tanks. They kill them in one go. Dude, like, just let me shoot them one time. I didn't bring my mortars, right? I got all these freaking 2-up save tanks. I got to kill them. And then he brings out that Lehman Russ. He brings out that lovely Dorn, which I hate killing, right? And he goes, I'm just going to shoot him with Stubbers. And I'm like, cool, man. Stubbers see me. That means I see those Stubbers, right? And I trade 130-point Scourge for how much are Dorns? 240? 280?
For a regular 240, 265 for a commander. Yeah.
See, man. And I would trade that all day. Not just for the points, but because, God, I hate Dorns, man. They suck. They're so good.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think you said it really well, Cody. Trading at the fundamental level is like, my unit X killed 200 points and then died. And that unit was worth 120 points. So it traded up. That is not how trading works. Don't get out of that mindset of like, whatever the value of your unit is, if I killed more with that unit specifically, that unit is now worth it. Like it was successful. That's not how trading works. Trading, there are some like mechanical things that happen in the game with trading. For me, especially like my Gene Stealer cult, I'm trading them for victory points. So like, if I can trade a unit of aberrants and deny primary with them, but I kill, it's like a unit of scouts, I don't care. If I'm denying you primary or scoring secondaries myself, I will do that pretty much every day of the week, especially with an army like Gene Stealer Cult. What that trade looks like is different from every army. So for example, my Death Watch, right? Every Indominus brick is so expensive with the character. Like, it is not cheap at all. So I'm not sacrificing them unless I absolutely have to, but if I'm doing so, I'm doing so because I want to, not because my opponent has done something to affect me in the game. Like, I'm giving up that brick for a very specific reason. It's because, maybe I need to get you off this objective, or I need to hold down this lane, or I need you to put units into it that will affect me other places on the board. Because Cody, you said it, for you, it's like the court, it's these Scourges. For me and Deathwatch, it's like the big Indominus bricks. People see that, and I'm like, it's got damage 3 heavy bolters, it's got sustained and lethal, it's got access to anti infantry 2-up. Like, I reroll everything with Oath, and they see that and they're like, oh shit, I gotta kill those things. I was like, yeah, you do. You can come get them, but
all your rules.
What's that?
Quit bragging about all your rules that you get.
Yeah, they're kind of nice, but that's the trap unit, right? Because I'm only putting them in a position to get charged or shot if I absolutely want you to, and then I'm going to punish you for that with other things that I have in my army. So your trap units, for those that are out there watching this video, your trap units are what are important to your opponent. They're not what are important to yourself. It's like, what do they care about? You could ask them. Like, honestly, you could say, hey, what are you scared of? What units do you want me to tell you about? Hey, this is probably good into you. This is probably good into you. That way your opponent knows, and then you put it in the back of your head. Like, I told him that this important, like, I'm not lying to you. I'm telling you exactly what this unit does. And I'm being truthful when I say these, Death Shroud Terminators will mulch that tank. Like, they will kill it. There's nothing that they don't touch and it doesn't die. but I'm letting my opponent know, and I'm also putting it in their head of saying like, hey, this is something you need to worry about, and if you want to come kill it, I'm going to put it in a position where I'm going to punish you for going after it.
You see, people believe you when you tell them what your units do. People don't believe me because they think Drukari suck. I was like, okay, that's cool. I've had people literally pull out paper and write down a plus minus, right? Like I had seriously a guy at a GT. He said, "Oh, how much were those beast packs?" 120, and he wrote minus 120 on my side and minus 70 for scouts. And then he killed him. I said, "Man, what are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I keep track of the trade pieces that I have, and I keep track of how many points I've killed, so I do that." I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." So the next turn, he brought out like um, he brought out like a lancer and a ballistus to shoot and kill the beast pack. And then I picked up both those units and I said, "Hey, do you put the minus for those two on my side because I killed them because of the beast pack?" He goes, "No, that's not how that works." But that's exactly how trading works, right? That is exactly what that is. I run a solitaire, and that dude can go 30 inches in a turn, and sometimes stuff doesn't show up on the scoreboard or the points, right? I will send him back. If you're playing linchpin, I will kill your 10 jackals in the backfield and force that slow ass Hellbrute to lumber backwards to kill him. Hey, the Hellbrute killed him. Cool. I only killed 65 points, but the Hellbrute is out of the game for the rest of the turns 3, 4, and 5. He's not doing anything. And that doesn't show up on the card. That doesn't give me points anywhere else. But you have that unit is done, and you're holding a backfield objective with a Hellbrute, right? Or a Lancer or a Dorn or, whatever people will do. And it's like, yeah, I'll trade that all day. I'll steal that primary for this turn so you don't get it. And then what are you bringing back here? Right. And so that doesn't show up on the scorecard, but forcing people, because they can't just leave their home in certain missions, and they can't just have a solitaire or whatever unit I bring back there, DST, Zions or Aquilons or whatever you got, Lane, for scary stuff that deep strikes. Like people can't just go, nah, those guys can stay in my backfield, right? They got to respond somehow. And so whatever they respond with, I don't know. I don't remember if it was Phil or Lane that said it, but the chain reaction that your opponent does to respond to what you're doing matters. And it doesn't show up on secondary points or primary points, but it shows up turn 4 when they go, shit, I'm out of position. Damn, I can't go and hold that objective anymore. Dang, I can't use this unit the way I wanted to. And that's part of that trade piece. That's part of that control piece.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's amazing information. One of the things that I really want to touch on, being a more trash-centric high OC army, I really try to evaluate at the start of the game if I'm going to go push your natural or not. What is this worth a full commit or not? Do I have more pieces that I can continue to just throw on there turn after turn, that you have enough pieces to actively deal with it without having to eventually either just give it up or commit a large resource to that side? Like, I try to look at the board a little bit more sectionally at times when it comes to this, because a lot of people, unless you're playing hypermobile armies, you can't just go touch any objective you want. Once you're on the board, you're kind of stuck there. And so really trying to analyze where your opponent is at, and is it worth it to keep trying to trade? Can I bleed my opponent dry on this side of the board? I think that's one of the things when you're looking at trading that's very important. It's still going to be good for tempo. I'm not saying, if you can't trade them, if you don't have more trash, don't do it. Just don't overcommit to it. But if you can, man, I am happy all day to just keep throwing stuff at you. Say, here's 65 points. You finally trade your scouts away. You trade your next thing away. What do you got left? Once your repulsor is the only thing that can go sit on your natural, I'm a happy camper. I will finally peek with my Dorn. I'll come around the corner and I'll pick that up before you get a shoot at me. And really trying to analyze what parts of the board you can gain that tempo with. Where can you put that pressure in a place that will make your opponent actually have to be the first person to peak with a major resource?
Yeah, and that's kind of leads into like the list building aspects. Cody has already mentioned it a few times. Like for him, it's like that last 300 points that he has variation with. But then because the disparity of the Drukari Codex and the lack of data sheets that they have, he has to make do with like the same units over and over, but thankfully they're hyper efficient units that he knows how to use well. If we look at like the Space Marine Codex, which obviously has an obnoxious number of data sheets, and they're able to be super, super effective with it. But there are trading units in here, but you have to identify them like off the rip when you put them in your list. So Cody, when he makes his decision for beast packs, he knows what he's doing with them, right? In the majority of matchups. When I take Death Guard and I put my Poxwalkers and my Chaos Spawn, I know exactly what they're doing. There's pretty much nothing my opponent is going to do that's going to like cause me to deviate from my plan, unless there's like an obnoxious skew list that is, let's say, infiltrating the entire middle of the board and it stops me from infiltrating at all. There's a world where I change up there, but the majority of the times, like, those units are doing what they're instructed to do, and they're doing that same thing every time. And I've already decided when I built the list, this is exactly what their job is. And for some of these, it's like the waves of how they trade. You know, it's Poxwalkers first, and then Chaos Spawn, and then, okay, now it's maybe the first 5 mana Plague Marines, and then the Rhino. I'm trading with Rhinos. I'm not putting out the 10 man unless I absolutely have to. The Death Shroud Terminators are definitely not coming down until I know I can make a large impact on the game with them, and they're definitely getting rapid ingress. This is like a little caveat: rapid ingress. Make sure you're always using it. If you're deep striking and relying on a 9-inch charge, we need to talk about how you're evaluating your units. Maybe you shouldn't put it to deep strike to begin with, because that is not the way to go about things. It's not effective. But all of those decisions and waves is how we trade effectively.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I think I think you hit the nail on the head. Like that, the waves thing is big. I think identifying certain units in your army that you want to go and trade with specific units. The hardest unit in my army to use is the Harlequins. They're point heavy, but they can kill anything. So like, I'm always tempted to use them. Like, I'm always like, oh man, I can go kill that thing. But do I need to? No, I can't. Like, I can't afford to, because then they'll die. And I really need them later, just in case. I think, yeah, I mean, I think that's, I think we kind of hit the nail on the head with the trading. I'm big on just taking pieces off the board, right? Kind of what Lane said, like, hey, I'm going to kill your repulsor, I'm going to kill your scouts, I'm going to kill this other trash unit, and then forcing people to play the game with like real units, right? Like, hey, go hold that objective with the Dorn, go hold that objective with your Death Shroud, right? You don't just get to play the game how you want to. Like, you don't have any more stupid drones that fly around anymore. Like, you got to hold that objective with that Indomitor kill team, or don't, right? And I think, Lane, too, the other thing is important. Like, how many objectives do you actually have to hold for primary, right? I mean, missions like Scorched Earth, right? You only need to hold 2. And I see a lot of people spread out. They want to hold all of them. And I'm like, man, that's great for me. Like, I'll just kill these ones and I'll get the same amount of primary that you do. Awesome. And it's, when do I send out that 65-point unit for take and hold to try to get that cheeky third objective? And I think identifying and making sure you're playing the mission, and not just getting kill crazy or trade crazy or anything like that. Like, do you actually have to go and get on a third objective? Like, do I need to hold that middle in this on this layout, or can I just hold my natural, hold my home? Am I going first? Am I going second? Like, how aggressive do I need to play? And so really honing in on that kind of stuff is important.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to kind of sum it up. The one thing of like trying to just bring it down to like some very simple terms, and as far as, you know, what we're looking for to get out of trading, it's hopefully a line of sight on something that's trying to kill that unit. You know, hopefully it's some board position. If it's a melee army, you are trying to put them in a certain location with some of your units that they're coming to trade, right? You want to get more than just some VP out of putting units out there. Try to position them in ways that make it easier in your following turns to make those trades, to shoot what's going to shoot them, right? Things like that. I think people generally just willy-nilly kind of, they're like, oh, I got cleanse, I'll put them on that objective. Are you really trying that hard to actually hide them, force your opponent to make an overextension to really deal with those units? I think, I know this is getting a little into the minutia of it, but like, I think that's one of the things people really can focus on a lot more as they're trying to improve at the game, and force people to make trades in positions you know you can measure when you're doing your movement. You know what lines of sight will be available to them to kill that unit. Stage your next turn to be able to make that trade back. Do not just be like, well, I guess this will sit here. No, move, be ready to swing the corner and literally say, if you want to come kill this, I will kill you. And really try to, just force your opponent into these trades and say either you deal with it and I kill you, or you don't and I score more points.
Yeah, I think doing a lot of pre-measuring like that too is really important. Like you throw something on a middle objective and you go, "How's far does that unit move?" "Oh, it moves 6." "All right, well, if you move and you want to charge me, it's going to be 9-inch charge. I can live with that." Right? And you make it seem like it's cool when you don't really want them to charge you. Right? But like you measure it, you say it out loud, and now they're thinking, "Holy crap, like that's a 9-inch charge. Like, I don't know if I really want to do that. I don't know if and so you give them more variables to think about as well. You say it out loud so you know as well that it's a 9-inch charge. And so if you get in the mode of like, I'm going to put this one guy on this one objective to cleanse, what can move and possibly get to me? All right, a 9-inch charge there. If I just shimmy him over a little bit, it's now a 10-inch charge, right? And I block line of sight to something else. So just little things like that do matter. Like Lane, 100%. Right? People get super lazy with just, all right, I got area denial, I got secure. And it's like, man, do you place those guys a little bit differently? That's a different ballgame.
Yeah. Yeah, just getting super technical with the game can help so much. And I think we touched a little bit on it before, but I really want to hammer it home. Things that mess with trading in general, I think loan ops are the top example of things that mess with the trade game. Things that stand in the open and you say, all right, cool. Well, you literally do have to come, to a certain spot in the open to deal with me. I think it's definitely worth trying to look at including anything like that you can. In a lot of armies, it doesn't, not everybody has access to actually good ones, but I mean, they're still just solid.
Dude, invulns, no matter what it is, and feel no pains. Oh my God. If you're a knight army with a 5-up invuln and a 6-up feel no pain, if I do 12 damage to you, damn it, I want to do 12 damage. Okay. I don't want you to make 3 out of 5 up invulns, and then I do 4 damage and you make 2 6-ups and I do 2 damage. Like, what the hell? Right? That is feel no pains for me are probably the number one thing, right? Like poxwalkers, tell me, Phil, how many times have you just spiked some 5-up feel no pains and been like, all right, I live with 2 poxwalkers and I'm going to charge you,
So
and then I
many
get
times.
5 back. I miraculously kill guys with them, right? Like those, it
So many
matters.
times.
My beast packs have 6-up invulns, right? And every time I get one, I just feel a little like I got you, buddy. Right? Like that guy lived because I made 1 6-up invuln. Right? You made 1 more feel no pain. Right? And those things, like you can't even control it. Nobody goes, man, I'm really going to rely on these 6-up invulns. Right? Let me spike these 5-up feel no pains. Right? It is a different game, and so you overcommit, which is probably another video, right, to killing stuff. But like that is the feel no pains and stuff, man. It is bad news bears when people just go, I got 3 wounds left. You did 6 damage. What's 4 or 5-ups? Like we're good. I live on.
Yeah. I mean, Phil even talked about the prime example of just being that dick who puts 3 things on the objectives, and it's Warden bricks. We all know what he was talking about there. You're just like, all right, well, we'll see how many 4-ups I can roll, and then feel no pains. Good luck. Like that is the Custodes trap. You are putting all of that out there. You're saying, how many Wardens can you kill? Great. That wasn't enough. They're going to come slap you, along with a few other things I had hidden, and some Caladius that are just finally going to peek around a corner and punch you in the face. So things like that are just the bread and butter of some of those durability armies. And it's really trying to understand. The more you can understand your opponent's game plan as far as what are they going to try to throw out at me to force me to respond, and you can really start looking at that game of, having the foresight. Okay, I know they want to maybe do this. Maybe I'll go move block that. They can't come out and be in a position that's going to force me to do anything for one more turn, and trying to look at ways you can affect your opponent's game plan. I think are very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Lane, that's a great way to sum it up. But I think this video has a lot of great information from fundamental towards some like advanced trading tactics. So hopefully everyone watching, please, when we bring on guys like Cody and we're able to talk about all this stuff, it is no joke in terms of the amount of information they have, because they have played at the top level. They continually play at the top level, and that's how they're successful. So I'll wrap this up with something very, very, very straightforward. I occasionally peruse Reddit where Some people have some very strong opinions about 40K, and one of the ones was they think that 40K is too much of a luck based game where, everything can go wrong and, I can never win because I'm not lucky. I can confidently say that that is not the case. It comes down to these little minute details in terms of, let's say, how you position that unit. Did you just give me a 6-inch charge versus a 9-inch charge because you had the movement to get on the middle of the objective, and you did, instead of just like toe tapping one of them on there and making sure that charge is as long as possible? The difference between the top players in the country and the world, because they make those decisions every time and they make them correctly, and you have not gotten there yet, and that's okay. That's the whole point of this channel, is we want to help you get there, and you have to learn those things, and it helps when myself and Lane and Cody can come on and talk about that stuff because it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, 100%. Before we wrap it up, Cody, any final thoughts on trading?
No, I mean, you should know if your army needs to trade and if it needs to trade well or not, and if your army can afford to trade. That's a big thing. You're a more elite army, you're not trading, right? And if you are trading, it has to be up. It has to be to your advantage and to your control. You're playing MSU, you're playing lighter armies. You get to control the trading. And again, don't be afraid to lose units. Don't be afraid either, like practice games and things like that, man. Just try stuff. Right? Is this worth it? Is this a good trade? Practice things dying when it doesn't die, like do that kind of stuff. And again, like know that stuff you're going to lose things. Just make it so you lose the things that you want to when you do for the things you want.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I think that's it for the trading video. Thank you all again for watching, subscribing, and join the Discord if you'd like to talk more about these topics, or if you have things you want to see us talk about. And we'll be sure to throw it in the mix. We're almost done with the layout series, so we're gonna have a little extra time on our hands to talk about more 40K. But in the meantime, do not forget that victory isn't given, it's forged, and it's forged right here on Mastercrafted. We'll see y'all next time.